Turkey is conducting the biggest air campaign in its history against combined terrorist organizations, giving access to air bases that will bring American jets dramatically closer to Syrian targets in its anti-ISIS campaign. The aim is also to form a safe area just inside the Syrian border for refugees fleeing both ISIS and the Assad regime, and for arming and training moderate Syrian forces. And this weekend, the Syrian president gave his most pessimistic view yet of his own grip on power.
We must define the important regions that armed forces hold on to so it doesn't allow the collapse of the rest of the areas. Everything is available, but there is a shortfall in manpower.
So is this a chance to transform the Syrian battlefield? The United States and Turkey still have slightly divergent views. And first, my exclusive interview with the Turkish Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu, who joined me earlier from Ankara. Prime Minister Davutoglu, welcome back to our program.
Thank you.
Let me first and foremost ask you, you are late to this party, if you like. You're late to this fight. Why this sudden turnaround by Turkey?
It is not a sudden turn, in fact. We have been very active against any terrorist presence on Syrian soil, but this time ISIS killed 32 civilians, Turkish citizens in Suruc last Monday. And Thursday they killed one soldier on the border, and it became a necessity to get rid of ISIS from our border, and we started this operation immediately.
Mr. Prime Minister, could you explain to me this idea of a safe area?
From the early stages of the Syrian crisis, we have been suggesting this idea to have a safe area for two basic reasons. One is to have a place where refugees can stay inside Syria. Today we have 2 million refugees in Turkey coming from Syria alone. Therefore, that was one of the reasons. The second is to have an area where terrorist groups cannot come in. And in that area, civilians could feel safe against regime attacks and against terrorist groups. Now it is time to have such an area against ISIS attacks especially.
What do you imagine also this safe area will do for the opposition against Assad, against ISIS? Do you believe that they will be able to arm and train in this safe area?
Yes, I think we need to have an integrated strategy right now. Eliminating ISIS is, of course, a strategic objective, but there should be some other elements. Last week, we agreed with the United States to open our air bases, as well as to work together with the coalition to fight against ISIS, against any terrorist presence in Syria. But at the same time, we have to have a strategy about the future of Syria. There we need to support moderate opposition forces. Moderate opposition forces means all those forces who are tolerant to other Syrian citizens, who do not commit any terrorist crime, and who do not collaborate with the Syrian regime, which is responsible for all these humanitarian tragedies in the last 4 or 5 years.
When you say the future of Syria, I'm assuming you mean the fight against President Assad as well, because you told me several months ago when I asked you that this had to be a two-pronged fight. This is what you told me in October about the crimes, as you called them, of President Assad and what it had led to. Listen, and then we'll talk about it.
And now, because of these crimes, there was no reaction. This radical organization, ISIS, misused this atmosphere and told these people, international community doesn't defend you. Nobody defends you. Only I can defend you by my own means. This was the source of ISIS.
You were basically telling me that Assad and his atrocities and the West's failure to confront Assad is what led to the rise of ISIS in Syria. Is that what you were saying?
Exactly. If there is one person who is responsible for all these terrorist crimes and humanitarian tragedies in Syria, it is Assad's approach, using chemical weapons, barrel bombs against civilians. And because of that power vacuum, Daesh, terrorist organizations like ISIS, was able to be active in Syrian territories.
So let me just put it this way then. You know, both Turkey and the United States have not been fighting Assad for all these years of the war. with this minimal new step, such as allowing Incirlik, allowing a safe haven, do you believe that ISIS could have been prevented much, much earlier if what you were doing now had been done several years ago?
Yes, I agree. If that was done before, Assad regime wouldn't be killing so many people or pushing them to Turkey, Jordan, or Iraq, or Lebanon. There wouldn't be any place or power vacuum for Daesh, for ISIS to be active. So ISIS is a product of a crisis, not only a cause of a problem. They are cause of a problem now. It is a much bigger problem than Syria. It is a threat to Turkey. It is a threat to Europe. It is a threat to United States and to the world. But now, in order to eliminate this threat, we have to fight against ISIS, yes, but we have to create new situation in Syria so that there wouldn't be any base for any terrorist organization to reactivate this type of terrorist activities.
Let me turn to what you're also doing with this air campaign, and that's pounding your Kurdish fighters. You're pounding the PKK. And there are a lot of critics inside Turkey who are saying that this new anti-terrorist campaign, as you call it, is mainly directed at your Kurds.
No. First of all, not at our Kurds. This fight is against PKK, yes, but not against Kurds. In last 4 days, in the early days of this week, PKK killed several police, several soldiers, and civilians. So in a high-level security meeting, we instructed our security forces that there should be a synchronized fight against terror. Whoever is committing terrorist activity in Turkey, we must be active against them.
So this is not about your domestic political situation. As you know, many critics are saying that it's somehow to diminish the Kurdish politicians. They are the party, certainly the HDP, that denied the AKP, your party, a majority in the last elections. A lot of people are saying this is all about domestic politics. And are you gearing up for new elections in November?
This is against the realities on the ground. 7th of June election created a new political picture, and now we are trying to form a new coalition government. All political actors should be united against terrorism. Therefore, as a prime minister, I called after these ISIS attacks against Turkey, I called all political leaders to make a joint declaration against terrorism. Only HDP rejected this request because they had some links with PKK. And therefore, I again and again called them to work together against all type of terrorism. This is against PKK, not against HDP. But in any democratic society, all political leaders have one choice: either democracy or terror, either peace or violence. Now, HDP has a dilemma here. They are not rejecting PKK terrorist activities. They are not condemning them. When civilians and policemen were killed by PKK, we asked them to make a condemnation. They were not able to condemn, even to condemn PKK terrorist activities.
Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu, thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much.